What is going on, guys? Welcome to The Reformed Reader, the channel where we review different forms of media through the lens of a Christian who is under the authority of the scriptures. My name is Josh, and today we're going to be doing our monthly wrap-up for the month of January. Let's just go ahead and jump right into a couple of things with a quick life update. As most of you can tell, I am still not completely recovered. The flu pretty much devastated my family the past couple of weeks, myself and my son in particular, and then sort of right in the throes of our symptoms. My wife developed pretty severe kidney stones and had to be admitted to the ER. Thankfully, she was able to come home after a couple of hours and has not experienced any pain since then. But yeah, as you guys can probably tell, I'm not back to 100% yet. But with it being at the end of January, I couldn't miss the monthly wrap up for you guys. This one may have quite a few jump cuts in it where I have to cough or take a sip of water or whatever to try to make sure that my voice will hold up. And if nothing else, this one will probably be a little bit shorter than the others. But I will say one really cool thing that happened while I've been away for the past week and a half to 2 weeks is that the channel did hit 900 subs. So that's awesome. Thank you guys so much. That's crazy. We are almost at 1,000. And when we get to 1,000, I have a pretty cool video that I plan to drop. Looking forward to being able to hit 1,000, hopefully relatively soon. That's kind of been my only goal. As far as, the analytics go, is to be able to hit 1,000 subscribers. That's crazy. And so we're getting pretty close. So thank you guys so much for coming along for the ride and bearing with me. So let's jump into what did I read? So for the month of January, it was a pretty slow month as far as quantity of books goes. But the quality definitely was not amiss. So let's start with the big one. The first one that I read was Shadows Upon Time by Christopher Rocchio. I finally finished Sun Eater. I have not been able to put my review out for that yet for obvious reasons. Yeah, fantastic. It's going to go down as one of my favorite series of all time, and for good reason. So if you're just looking for sort of a very condensed review or, kind of final thoughts, he stuck the landing. I definitely think there were parts in there that were a little bit lengthy or maybe a little bit bloated. But I was here for it the whole time. You're not going to hear me complain about getting to read more of Sun Eater and more of Christopher Rocchio's work. So yeah, I was so glad that I was able to finish that, in part because, now we have the final story, and in part because I was kind of ready to move on to something different. With that being said, I really wanted a change of pace. And I didn't know kind of what form that was going to take for me. So I was like, I kind of want to read something very short, punchy, maybe something that's been sitting on the list for a while. And so I jumped into I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. Man, this book was fantastic. I would say for the first, really the vast majority of the book, it was pretty good. So I'm going to say 85%, the first 85% of the book was pretty good. And the last 15% was exemplary. So, take everything that you know about the movie and throw it in the trash. This book was fantastic. It's a different take on vampires. It's, you've kind of got two different kinds that the individual's trying to deal with. He's not some super sleuth or genius that's trying to figure out a way to come up with a cure. He's kind of Joe Schmo that just happens to be a survivor that's trying to figure out how to live his life in this post-apocalyptic world. But the end of that book is one of the best ends of a book that I've ever read. Very contemplative. It's going down as a classic for a reason. So, I Am Legend. I was thoroughly surprised. I expected to like it, but I didn't really expect to like it as much as I did. So yeah, this one was fantastic. And then by the time you guys see this, I will be wrapping up The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. So this one was another one of those short, punchy books. Yeah, it's really good. It's one of those really contemplative reads as well. I really like ruminating on some of these questions that Oscar Wilde is asking with Dorian Gray. But by the time you guys see this, I will have finished it. I'm really, really liking it. There's a lot here. There is definitely some deep dive that's going to have to be done, dissecting some of these things. But overall, yeah, this book is great. And I'm not saying anything that other people don't already know. Again, this is another one that's a classic for a reason. And then the fourth book that I started Cinder Spires, or, Aeronauts Windlass, which is book 1 of the Cinder Spires series by Jim Butcher. And I just couldn't get into it. Now, I'm not DNFing this book, not hard DNFing this book. It's going to be a sort of soft DNF as of right now. Not because it's bad, but the world is very vast. I would say the opening scene felt a lot like a Sanderson book. You're kind of thrown into it and not really given a ton of explanation. Jim Butcher just kind of throws you into this magic system and this world, which is great, but it just isn't what I was looking for right now. So I started reading it predominantly because I told you guys that I would, and I'm just really not in the mood for it. So I got several chapters into it, and I realized that I was not enjoying it at all. And again, it's not because it was bad. I'm just not in the headspace for it. Also, in large part, it was because I was sick. So I really wasn't in the headspace to read much of anything. So I sort of just came to the conclusion, rather than plowing through and trying to push through with it and maybe potentially hate reading it, I'm just going to put it on pause, and I'm going to come back to it, in a few weeks and see if, with my mood and my health hopefully improving, that my reading experience will also improve with it. So I'm going to come back to it in a few weeks. I'm just going to give it some time to breathe. But I really just am not looking for, being thrown into this crazy epic world with this full cast of characters with a brand new magic system, and you get all these intricacies of all of the and all the nuance of all the characters and the magic system and the world. And I think I'm just sort of, maybe not burnt out, but I'm definitely a little drained of that type of a story at this time. So again, I will be coming back to it. I don't want to give you a concrete date of when, but I will be coming back to it soon. And the last book that I started was 12 Months, which is the most recent Dresden book. I started this on audio. I got about 8 to 10 chapters in. I was, I just had it going while I could keep busy while, feeling a little under the weather, and I just haven't come back to it. I may continue it very soon, but again, it's one of those things where I just realized I'm just not in the mood for this, and I'm just reading it or listening to it just because I think I should, and I don't want reading to ever feel like a chore, and it kind of did. Again, not that it was bad, it's just right now, the things that are going on in real life, they definitely affect the way that they definitely affect my reading experience. So I'm just going to put that one on pause for the time as well. So yeah, I read 3 books. One of them was a monster. The other 2 were very short, but when I'm sick, I'm the kind of guy that, I don't really want to read. I don't really want to watch TV. I don't really want to do much of anything. I just kind of want to, wallow in my agony when I'm sick. I sort of lose the taste or the desire for pretty much everything, and I'm really just focused on trying to get well. So that's why, this past month, I sort of slacked as far as my reading goes, but I do plan to pick that back up this coming month. So this leads me into, what am I going to read? And I'm going to try to start the month off with Malice by John Gwynne. Now, no, I just got done saying, with Cinder Spires, that I don't want to dive into this new world with this new magic system and all this stuff. But from what I understand and from what I've heard from several friends, The Faithful and the Fallen is a little bit different. It's less of, let's throw you into this magical world with all these dense magic systems. And plus, being a little bit versed in John Gwynne's work, I know that you're following characters and the plot far more than you are the world building and the magic system. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for maybe some big epic battles, those kind of things. So I think Malice is going to be my big read for the month of February. And then I'm going to jump into Shutter Island by Dennis Lehane. I've tossed this one around a few times, but now it's going to be more set in stone. I will be reading and finishing up Shutter Island this month by Dennis Lehane. And then the third book is actually going to be a beta read, hopefully for my brother A.M. Wiley, for his new book that's going to be coming out, which is Fang Gloria. This is a new vampire story with some of the same cast of characters that we had in The Heart Taker. So I'm really looking forward into jumping into that one. That should be a ton of fun. And then I have one more indie book that I plan to get to, which I will talk about here in just a few minutes. But otherwise, I'm just going to kind of grab something off the shelf that sounds good to me. So this brings me to what is coming up on the channel. So with the month of January, or at least the latter half, kind of going straight in the dumpster, I really missed out on quite a few videos, and so I'm going to have to kind of play catch up. So there's a few videos that I hope to put out very soon. The first one is going to be my Shadows Upon Time review. Hopefully that one will come out Wednesday. Again, Lord willing, if my voice will hold up, because even now I can tell it's waning. So I do plan to put out my review for Shadows Upon Time. I plan to put out my review for I Am Legend. I plan to put out my review for Picture of Dorian Gray. And then I know I've got 2 more videos that I plan to get to. One is going to be 5 theological works that changed my mind, that changed the way that I think. I plan to put that one out hopefully at the tail end of this coming week. And then I will be doing another battle with the misses. This time I think we're going to be doing a media battle. So that one should be pretty fun. And then obviously I'm going to have my weekly updates. So it's actually a pretty stacked month as far as videos go, because I plan to record as much as possible. That way, if something does happen, maybe I'll actually have a backlog that I can fall back on and continue to funnel videos out, and I'm not having to constantly chase recording and editing and those kind of things. So this leads me into the book haul for this month. Now, I'm going to start with 2 books that you guys have probably already seen. These are 2 that were gifts from my brother. The first one is going to be Summer of Night by Dan Simmons. Yeah, man, this one is high up on the list. It's a little bit thick, but I am really, really looking forward to this. I've heard it's like it, but not disturbing, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. Thank you so much. Really looking forward to that one. And then he also sent me Larry Correia's book 1 of the Saga of the Forgotten Warrior, which is Son of the Black Sword by Larry Correia. Yeah, that one. And it's a lot shorter than I thought. And my friend Putter, he just read this and he was talking about how awesome it is. And it sort of hyped me up to maybe bump it up on the TBR. You guys know how much I love Larry's works, so I may be getting to this sooner rather than later. And then my brother Sam over at iSamWise so graciously sent me Brent Weeks's Night Angel trilogy. Thank you so much, brother. I genuinely appreciate it. It kind of looks like, I don't know if you guys can see this, but it kind of looks like Assassin's Creed meets fantasy. It's like Assassin's Creed and Mistborn sort of shoved into one epic trilogy. Really looking forward to this. It's like fantasy ninjas. And I'm a giant nerd, so that sounds awesome to me. And I've been really looking forward into jumping into Brent Weeks's work. And so I think this will be a good place to cut my teeth. So thank you so much. And then I received another very gracious gift from my brother Chris and his wife Victoria, who sent me The Picture of Dorian Gray. At the time of recording this, I'm wrapping it up, but I will be finished with it by the time you guys see this. And then they also sent me 12 Ordinary Men by John MacArthur. Ever since we had our discussion, this book has been sitting in my Amazon cart. So I'm so glad to have a copy of it, because I plan to jump into this one probably very, very soon. With these theological reads, I tend to slowly chew on them, to take little bites and ruminate on them over a week or so. So it takes me a while to get through them. But for me personally, that's the best way for me to consume these, isn't to just read it, but is to really try to ingest it and have it written on the stone tablet of our hearts. And then he also sent me The Peacemaker by Ken, I'm going to say Sand. I guess that's how you pronounce the last name. Again, I don't know anything about this, but if it came highly recommended from Chris, then I fully expect it to be a 5-star read. So thank you so much, brother. And then the last one that I received was an ARC from a good friend, Miss Kelley S.O. I believe I'm pronouncing your name right. And she sent me an ARC of Shazwick of Land, Volume 1, which is Time Becomes Relevant. So This is the indie book that I was talking about getting to. I'll put the cover somewhere right here. I plan to jump into this one pretty quickly because I hope to get my thoughts back to her as soon as possible. But again, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to it. So this leads me to my book giveaway. Yeah, so for the giveaway this month, I'm going to give away one of my all-time favorite books, and it is Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. It's this mass market paperback that I found for next to nothing. It has barely been read. It just has a little bit of wear right here. Yeah, the pages are a little bit yellowed, but I think this is one that's probably just sat on somebody's shelf. So if you're interested in winning Name of the Wind, all you need to do is comment down below, and just somewhere in your comment put Name of the Wind or I want Name of the Wind or whatever. So all I ask is that you leave a comment and that you are a subscriber. So please make sure that you're subscribed, because only those who are subscribed will be added to the drawing. And then just leave me a comment that says Name of the Wind, and I will be happy to get this out to you. I will probably do the drawing 2 weeks from today. I'll put the date somewhere down here. And I will announce the winner on the weekly update following the deadline. So again, just be subscribed and leave me a comment that says Name of the Wind. So this brings me to my YouTube spotlight. So this is where I like to shine a light on some other channels. Most of the time I do one booktube channel and then one that's sort of booktube adjacent. But this month I have 2 booktube channels that I think you guys would love and definitely need to go check out and support. The first one is my friend Kelley over at Bookish Kelley. Now Kelley does a fantastic job of not only breaking down her reviews, and she's very thoughtful and insightful in the way that she does it. She does an excellent job of articulating, all the nuance within these books. And she is fantastic at shining a light on Christian themes in these books. But on top of that, she also recommends certain Christian books. So I think she does an absolutely fantastic job with her channel. She is highly underrated in my opinion. So please go and make sure and check her out. Also, every one of her videos, as soon as you turn it on, you can't help but to smile. That woman, she does an excellent job of bringing positive energy to every one of her videos, which is not always easy to do. So her channel is fantastic. And the other one is going to be over at my friend's channel, Reading-Rambles. And this young man, Mr. Benjamin, he does a fantastic job. You guys want to talk about a young man that is very well read. This young man has read more books probably than me now. He's read, I think, like all of The Wheel of Time. He's read like all of Brandon Sanderson. But he does a fantastic job. And the first time I saw one of his videos, I was like, there's no way that he's actually read this, because he's, in my opinion, so young. And maybe one of the most surprising things for me is that he's so mature and he's able to grasp these heavy themes in these books. So his channel is awesome and you guys will absolutely love it. So please go and check out Benjamin's channel over at Reading-Rambles. So this brings me to the new and final segment of the video, which is our viewer submissions. Yeah, so some of you guys sent in some submissions to me. I'm just going to go through them as I receive them in that order. And so without any further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, so first up, we have my brother Steve.
Hello, Josh and everyone else watching out there. My name is Steve. I go by Speedfish in the comments section, and I saw Josh's call a couple of videos ago for viewer submissions, and I thought maybe I'll throw something together with some recommendations on it. But I've only got less than 3 minutes, so let's roll. Things that's been talked about on this channel recently. Number 1, Weird Space, a book that Josh recommended, that he loved, that I loved, and all the whole while I was reading that book, I could not help but think of Deja Vu by Michael Thomas Barone. This is a very similar vein, different storyline a little bit. There's no space travel involved here, but there is a heavy sci-fi element in the second half of this book. But the main story, some kids in the late 80s, early 90s decide that they're going to bury a time capsule as a commemoration to the end of the 1980s, and that is right up my alley. I was hooked from that plot point, and the things that they do in this neighborhood will just remind you of being a kid again. And then as soon as they bury that time capsule, things start going haywire. They start seeing doppelgangers of themselves. This is all in the synopsis, no spoilers there. But really a good book, just a fun time, and I think people that liked Weird Space would like this book also.
Awesome.
Number 2, On the Subject of Ordinary Grace, a book that I know Josh loved and that I loved as well. And as I was reading that book, I couldn't help but think of The Promise of Jesse Woods by Chris Fabry. Chris Fabry is a Christian author, so this is an entirely clean book, and it has a very similar feel to it as Ordinary Grace. Not an identical plot line or anything like that, but it is a small town, coming of age, and this one takes place in the 70s, and actually in the 80s too. It's a dual timeline. But the father is a preacher in this book who's also really well drawn, and the things that the characters do in this book and the friends that the main character meets, it just reminds you of those times growing up, and they get into some interesting plot points and some things that happen, and it was a riveting read for me. I love coming of age books, my top genre. Boys Life's my favorite book of all time. This is in my top 5 coming of age books. It was highly recommended and worth the read. And finally, on the subject of reading slumps, I've been there, you've been there. I think everybody's had this happen to them. It was discussed recently on here. The best thing I can do when that happens is find a short book that's just a riveting high-speed ride and let it cleanse my palate. And I did that with I Am In Here by Preston Mates.
Okay.
I'm telling you, it was a nail-biter for me. I just wanted to know what was going to happen. I couldn't put this book down. Our main protagonist here, his name is Hale. He was injured in a church bus accident, and he became a quadriplegic and is confined to a bed, but he hears and sees everything that goes on around him. His father took out a loan from some loan sharks to pay for Hale's medical bills, and things just spiraled out of control from there because these guys want their money now, and they're coming around to the house, and the things that start to happen, and Hale is in there, and he cannot physically do anything, but he knows what's going on. This will cleanse your palate if you're in a reading slump and get you right back in there. So thank you, appreciate the time, and we will continue watching, enjoying your channel, and God bless everyone out there.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, brother. Yeah, that's awesome. Consider them added to the list. Also, so good to hear from you. It's so good to get to see you, guys now, But yes, those two will absolutely be added to the list. They're going to be sitting in my Amazon cart. And as soon as some of those gift cards come in, those will be picked up. But Steve, thank you so much for submitting, my friend. And I will definitely check those out. I've actually had Deja Vu on there since you recommended it a few months back. So yeah, really looking forward into jumping into that one as well. Okay, so the next one is a friend of the channel. You guys have seen him before. If you guys have been around, my friend and brother Jordan. And let's see.
Hey guys, I'm Jordan from the First Line Library. So happy to be here with all of you and on Josh's channel this month. Really gonna make this quick. I have 2 things that I wanted to talk to you guys about. First is my new addition to my background. This is my new CRT TV.
That's sick.
I just picked it up a day or so ago, and I'm so excited to have it here in my office. I'm a huge physical media collector, so this is great for my VHS and DVD collection. And I could play some old PS2, PS1 games and even older consoles on this TV. So I'm really excited to have this. Speaking of nostalgia, one book that I meant to read last summer but didn't get to, and I'm really, really excited to this summer, and that is Boys Life.
Yes.
This just screams nostalgia for me.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people really, really love this book. I think it's going to be a hit for me. Let me know what you guys think. Hit me up on my channel, The First Time Library, in the comments. Thanks again, Josh, for letting us be a part of your video this month. Take care. God bless.
All right. Jordan has such good taste. I don't know if you guys saw, but he has the special extended edition Lord of the Rings box set, the DVD set, sitting on top of his new CRTV, and that's what's sitting right here. Man, yes, 100%. I mean, if you guys are looking for somebody with great taste, check out Jordan's channel. But Jordan, Boys Life, it's probably my favorite singular book that I've ever read. It is so good. Hold on to your seat. And make sure you have a tissue handy, because like that book, the end of that book broke me in such a way, in a similar way to Ordinary Grace. It was different, but similar. And like Steve mentioned, Boys Life. So yeah, I think you have a lot to look forward to. I can't wait to see what you think about it. And if you read it this coming month or whatever, let me know. I'm really interested to see what you have to say about that book, because I actually want to revisit it soon. Man, fantastic. So thank you so much for sending a video in. Man, it's always good to hear from you. All right, next up is my brother Chris, which you guys have seen on the channel when we did our group discussion. He's also the one that sent me these wonderful books. So let's see what Chris has to say.
Hey Josh, thank you so much for an opportunity to talk about one of my favorite books, which is The Picture of Dorian Gray. This is a story about a young man who sells his own soul in the pursuit of pursuing all of his passions and desires. And by the end of the story, we see the high price that that kind of lifestyle can take. Now, what I really love about this book is that it's going to challenge your worldview. There's going to be so many subjects and topics that are discussed in this book. Everything from the soul, beauty, art, morality, and so many other things. And what Oscar Wilde does is he presents all of those subjects to you and then gives you another perspective about it. So no matter what you believe, you're going to have your worldview challenged. And by far, here's what I most enjoyed about this book. If you're a Christian, you're going to see so many biblical themes that are found all throughout this book. Everything from repentance and morality, and there's going to be some scriptures that are going to be cited in here. And the thing that really impacted me is that as I was reading the story, I had to guess, did Oscar Wilde truly wrestle with the Christian worldview? Because historically, he wasn't a professing Christian. I really enjoyed this book. It was really great to find those biblical nuggets scattered throughout the story. But if you're going to read this book, I want you to consider a couple of things. One, this is not your typical fast-paced book. This is a character-driven, slow burn, and a lot of dialogue is littered throughout the book. But what this is going to do is that it's going to present you with so many ideas that you're going to be thinking about long after you've read it. So I really enjoyed this book. I think you're going to enjoy it too, and I really hope you pick it up. And Josh, I really hope you do a video on this one day. Thanks, man.
Well, I got to give the people what they want, I guess. But yes, obviously the review for that will be coming soon. Again, thank you, Chris, for sending me a copy of that. Man, it is fantastic, and it is very introspective. It asks some hard questions and doesn't always give you the answer. It just sort of, I think he just sort of makes you ask yourself the question to see how you would answer. Maybe not to like see how you would answer, but maybe to show you what you actually think. Yeah, brother, it's always good to hear from you. And then I had 2 email submissions, just a couple of quick questions. One is from Adam, and he asks, do I have any other hobbies other than reading or making YouTube videos? Short answer and long answer, I guess. Short answer is not really. I'm pretty boring. I live a pretty quiet life. I go to work. I come home, spend time with my wife and my kids. After the kids go to bed, that's normally when I do my reading. So normally from like 8:30 to around 11, I'll normally pick up my book and read. But otherwise, there's not a whole lot that I do, but there are a lot of things that I'm into. Obviously, I'm into, music. I love playing different musical instruments. I play guitar. I like playing drums and bass and all that stuff. I try to tinker around on the piano. I'm not very good. I love that kind of stuff. Pretty much anything that's like, I'm like a serial hobbyist. My brother Josh, he knows what I'm talking about, where like I will see something, I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool. And then I'll get really invested in it and I'll spend way too much money on that one thing. And then I'll end up pivoting to something else. So yes, I do have several hobbies. I used to play games. I don't really play video games that much anymore. And if I do, it's either me playing like prop hunt with somebody, or normally I'm playing with one of my kids, getting them into the Mario games or playing something on the Switch or something like that. So I don't really play games. I do love good movies and TV show. A good TV show to check out for all of you is Endeavor, which is sort of like a prequel series to Inspector Morse, which is an older UK-based whodunit type of series. And so this is like the prequel to it, even though it came out just a few years ago. My wife and I love that show. It is sort of like that cop murder mystery type show. The episodes are pretty lengthy. They're normally an hour to an hour and a half. But it's a very interesting show, and it's a show for very intelligent people. I don't really know how else to say that without sounding ugly or crass, but I think people that are looking for some more depth and nuance into their crime shows will really love that show. But yeah, other than that, there's not a lot. I'm involved in my church. Haven't been as involved this month, unfortunately. Maybe fortunately for them. But otherwise, I'm a Christian, a husband, and a dad, and that takes up a lot of time. And then with that, I have to include my work. So I'm not really left with a ton of free time. And that free time, as you guys know, always gets filled up. So, yeah, there's a few things that I like to do here and there, but predominantly, reading. I love editing videos. I edit videos for other people sometimes. I've edited some videos for my father-in-law for his business and for some other businesses, but there's not like a lot that I'm really invested in at the moment. So thank you for your question. I'm sorry to disappoint you. And then Nathan asks, do I have any advice for someone thinking of starting a YouTube video? Yes, it's just start. So this is some advice that I got years ago from a good friend and mentor of mine when I was thinking about going back to school. I looked at, okay, my goal is to finish my degree. And before you even start looking at that goal, it seems not only daunting, but near impossible when you look at all the obstacles and hurdles that you have to jump. So for me personally, when I was considering this, my mentor and friend Keith actually told me, he's like, look, just start. He wasn't saying to go into it foolishly, but to get started. And, obviously we've probably all heard the old adage, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time. So just break it down into break your goals down into little increments, bite-sized increments that are achievable. So I would say just start. You probably have everything that you need right here in your hand. You don't need all this fancy equipment or lighting. And you guys can see that with my early videos. Yeah, they were pretty bad. And I really don't have much newer equipment than I had then. I've just learned how to use it. So just get started. Turn the camera on, hit record, and talk about things that interest you. And there is an audience for it. There's always room for an extra voice. Now, I will say it's a different question if you say, how do I stand out amongst the crowd? That's going to be, sort of your predominant question that you're going to have to wrestle with, like kind of for the entirety of your channel. For me, it's easy. It's my reviews. I know that for most booktube channels, the reviews actually do the worst, which is why people do top 10 videos and collaboration videos and those kinds of things. But for me personally, my reviews tend to get as much traffic as some of my top 10 lists or my tier lists. And that's because you guys tend to come here for those reviews, for those content warnings and things. So find a way to set yourself apart. Now, that doesn't have to mean with the content. It could be, it could be your demeanor. Like I look at Kelley over at Bookish Kelley, like her demeanor is vastly different than the vast majority of everyone else that I see on YouTube, because everybody else is like, hello, how are you? And let me convey some information to you. Or it's maybe a little over the top sometimes, and it might seem disingenuous for some people. And sometimes that turns people off. But with Kelley, and I'm going to, pick on her for a minute, but with Kelley, you can tell that it's genuine. That's who she is. She has an upbeat demeanor, an encouraging demeanor about herself. And it's what makes people come to her channel and drives her videos. And in conjunction with that, she has some very interesting things to say and to bring to the table. So if you're like, so if you're thinking, I don't want to just be another talking head discussing, the same book that everybody else is, figure out a way to make it a little bit different, or do it anyway. Because nobody has your perspective, and there's somebody out there that is looking for a channel like yours that's different from everybody else's. Maybe it's similar in ways, but it isn't the exact same thing. And I wish, if only my favorite YouTuber would do this thing. So I would say, as far as, again, trying to condense all that into one simple answer, if you're wanting to know my best advice for you on how to start a YouTube channel, just start. Turn the camera around, hit record, and then hit upload. That is the most difficult thing. And then after you upload your first video, the rest of it is kind of downhill from there. And then you can learn the process along the way and just slowly tweak it as you go. So yeah, what's my advice? Just start. So thank you all for your submissions. This was fantastic. I can't wait to do this every month. So if you guys are interested in sending in a submission, whether it's a video submission, a question, an email, a sound, like a voice memo, whatever, feel free to leave it at the reformedreaderbooks@gmail.com, and I will definitely upload it and watch it live just like I did today on my February wrap up. And please feel free to send one in every month, or send in more than one. I have absolutely no problem with doing that. I love hearing from you guys. So yeah, feel free to send them in. I will put the date again somewhere right here. So the deadline for submitting for next month's viewer submissions will be the last Friday before the end of February. And it's going to be, again, somewhere right here. And so the best way to send that over to me, you can either use Google Drive, upload it to your Google Drive and send me the link to it so I can download it. You can upload it to YouTube and set it as private or whatever, and I can get it from there. Or you can just try to straight email it to me, or whatever way works best for you. And I'll get with you, if for some reason it doesn't work. But I would love to hear from you. So please, 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 next month, be sure to send something in, because I love hearing from you guys. So guys, that was the month of January. It was a bit of a struggle, just like recording this video. But I thank you guys for bearing with me. I thank you guys for coming along the ride with me. I thank you guys for your prayers this month. And I'm looking forward to an even better month, I hope, in February. So guys, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with me and listening to me ramble about my month. Thank you guys for all the gifts and prayers and thoughtfulness and support that you guys give. I genuinely appreciate it. And I cannot wait to hear from you guys again. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you on the next one.